How's it going? It's Robert again. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the NFL elite teams. Try to get it done in 2 minutes or less. So we watched the Super Bowl the other day, and it's featuring the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, one of those teams is elite. And, you know, there's elite teams in the NFL, and those are the teams that are there every year, or at least in the hunt. You know, you got teams like the New England Patriots, you got Green Bay Packers, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know, the Seattle Seahawks. Those are elite teams. The reason they're elite is because that they have quality systems. Their systems, they're not really teams. And when I say systems, they have, you know, ownership, general managers, you know, coaches, scouts, you know, smaller coaches like the assistants. They're all established. They've been there for, you know, 5 years, 10 years, you know, 15 years, sometimes 20. So what happens when you breed a culture like that, what you do is you plug in players. You plug in different players and coaches into that system, you know, and they flourish. The reason they flourish is because they're strong from the top down. You know, so you get teams like, you know, the Dolphins, the Browns. You get, you know, just shitty teams like the Jaguars, you know, where they have coaches every other year. You know, you get a coach 1 year, they fire him, get a coach another year. I mean, they don't have time to establish a system. You know, and in actuality, to be fair for these coaches, it's hard to establish a system in, you know, a year, 2 years, 3 years. You know, these coaches have 3 or 4 years to turn a team around. Well, guess what? That's not enough. You know, you need a good 5-10 years to turn a team around. You know, my beloved Raiders, you know, they're starting to get it figured out and turned around because Al Davis held the Raiders hostage. You know, he wasn't doing the right things for the Raiders. So now that he died and his son's taken over, he wants to make the Raiders a good, solid program. But they got to have a stadium. You know, he's trying to find a good, solid city to anchor these guys to, and it's hard. You know, when you have to put forth, you know, $1 billion, $2 billion to establish your team and establish the stadium and all that, it's very difficult. So you're going to see teams like these succeeding more and more, you know, all the time. You know, I'm already looking at this next year's projections and the stat lines, you know, the odds from Vegas. And they all have these, you know, these same top teams, you know, that are going to be dominating. They're going to be established. You know, the Falcons this year was a little bit different because, you know, they just hired Dan Quinn a couple years ago. And Dan Quinn came from the Seattle Seahawks, you know. So he kind of sees what it's like to have a culture. He sees what it's like to have an established team, you know, an established system. It's going to be hard for him because he's already losing his offensive coordinators and stuff like that. So, you know, it's going to be difficult for him, but I think they're going to do it. Anyway, that's my rant.